With hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook Podcast here. First look at Monday's 8-game main slate coming out of the weekend here. James, how you doing?
Doing well. Solid weekend for me. I told you, I played a little golf this weekend. I was going to break 90 here, John. First time ever. And not to be a tough final two holes on the day for me. Shot 14 strokes. The final two holes will deter you from, your best round ever. But we move on. We forget maybe next year because 2 times a year is about all I golf. So on to next year for a chance to break 90.
Yeah, I think sometimes they say when you try your hardest not to make mistakes is when you make the biggest ones. So, you were just trying to, get to where you were at instead of just playing the golf that got you where you were. And, it blew up on you. So, little words of wisdom there, for those who are out there looking to achieve some things here. Just keep on doing what you're doing. It's working. Don't change it up. So, we got 8 games to talk about here. Before we do, a quick shout out to our friends over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23. New users get a 100% deposit match up to $200 here. Take advantage of the RT Sports DFS Pick'em game, which myself and James Grande give out our plays of the day each day at 5 o'clock Eastern time during our live stream. And now you can catch in the morning Howard Bender and myself giving out our favorite fantasy football ADP plays for both the Best Ball Fantasy Football Championship and seasonal fantasy football contest that RP Sports has going on right now. So you can check out those YouTube videos in the morning for your fantasy football needs. You can tune into the MLB DFS Playbook live show at 5 o'clock Eastern for your DFS picks of the day here. So again, go take advantage of everything we got going on over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. Turn the page over to this 8-game main slate. James, talk to me, man, about some of these matchups, any notable Vegas things we're looking at. Most importantly, I don't see Coors, so seems like we're in the clear.
We are in the clear. We don't like to have fun, all that good stuff. Nothing really notable in Vegas. Actually, a couple of interesting lines. St. Louis, Pittsburgh looks to be 10.5 implied runs here, John. It looks like St. Louis is starting Drew Rom here, making his season debut. He has a 5.34 ERA at AAA this year. So 10.5 implied runs in St. Louis, Pittsburgh. Bailey Falter taking the mound for Pittsburgh. 10 implied runs in Mets, Braves. Those two are the highest implied totals. Everything else, per usual, 8, 8.5, 9. So St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and New York Mets and Atlanta Braves look to be the best game environments on the board.
All right, let's talk about pitching here. Top guys on the slate, 2 over 10K. Blake Snell against Miami, Luis Castillo against the White Sox. We have Jordan Montgomery at 98, and Luke Giolito is still up over 9K. Those are your top 4 priced pitchers. There's really one that I would consider safe-ish. How are you feeling about the top 4, though?
So Snell is interesting because he continues to just pitch really well. He does have a tough matchup against Miami. They are good against left-handed pitching. But I would be okay getting there. I do like Luis Castillo here quite a bit. The White Sox getting them out of Coors. I mean, they weren't great in Coors to begin with outside of one night, but we've said it with Castillo a bunch this year. He's very boomer bust, and the ceiling is really high, 30 fantasy points, and the floor ruins your night, right? So I'd be okay getting to Castillo. Montgomery's been really good of late, and I don't know if that's who you were implying is like the safest or if it was Snell.
No, it was not Snell.
It was Montgomery?
I was actually looking at Castillo here.
Oh, okay.
As safe-ish. I don't mind attacking the White Sox. We just know where the trouble lies with Castillo. It's the home run ball. Don't love that he ran into Kansas City's the hottest team in baseball right now, it seems like. But I think the White Sox are an intriguing matchup for Castillo at 10-3. Montgomery is obviously pitching well, but he is a lefty. We know there's some guys in the Arizona lineup that do hit lefties fairly well. I didn't like Snell. Miami's best hitting team, one of the best hitting teams against left-handed pitching in baseball.
Yeah, they are.
As you
Yeah,
mentioned.
they are.
So that one terrifies me. They don't strike out a lot, and that's kind of what he, prides himself off of. They work counts. So I worry about Snell at 10-6. I'm in at Castillo at 10-3. And I don't know. I'm definitely not playing Giolito at $9,300. What's your next? Who would we go back to Winans here? Like, he pitched against the Mets and shut them out and broke the slate. It's kind of where I'm looking, man.
Yeah, I'm a little more bullish on Montgomery upon first look. Just looking at Arizona against left-handed pitching since the break. 688 team OPS, that's 18th in the league. Their isolated power 139 as a team, that's tied for 22nd in the league. And WOBA, they're also 16th. So they're bottom of the pack in pretty much every category against lefties since the break. And we know Montgomery has obviously pitched extremely well, at least his last few starts, coming off probably his best start in some time, 30 fantasy points against the Angels. So I largely agree on the rest of everything, though. I like the Paxton price, but do we really want to face Houston? Houston has a massive, 869 OPS, 372 WOBA, 221 ISO.
We talked about it. Kyle Tucker has a 500 batting average over the last 30 days against left-handed pitching. It's ridiculous, right? And he's a lefty. So, what are you supposed to do when their best hitters are left from the left side smashing lefties? It just makes it difficult to want to trust that. I mean, Cueto hasn't been great, but San Diego against right-handed pitching hasn't been great. Tukey not pitching all that well. Good back-to-back 9 strikeout games. But J-Rod, outside of today when I needed him the most, twice let me down.
Yeah.
So it feels like Winans, however we're pronouncing it here, right? Blackburn versus KC. I know you've talked about Blackburn pitching well, but KC is one of the hottest hitting teams in baseball right now. So feels difficult to trust that. Javier versus Boston feels like a struggle. Bailey Falter, David Peterson against Atlanta. We're not pitching any of these guys. So I don't feel confident in much pitching on this slate. For the top guys, I will agree. Castillo, Montgomery, probably the 2. And then I think I'm just locking in Allen Winans, however we're going about it, and just moving on.
Yeah, it's bleak. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm looking at some numbers. Even you look at Alec Marsh, right, who came in that Seattle game. He was the bulk man and is expected to start here against Oakland. Since the All-Star break, Oakland is 11th in ISO against right-handed pitching. So even they have some upside, and we know that's mainly because Geloff. But I'd probably maybe take a shot on Marsh at 58, but that's basically it. The people that you had in your player pool plus Marsh possibly at 5,800, but it's not a confident play.
We've really run into a spot where some of the pitches we have have been in tough matchups, or we've hit spots where the slate's been abysmal when it comes to starting pitching here. So we'll see what kind of values on the slate, because it could just be a double spend where you play Castillo, Montgomery, sadly both on the road, where it would have been nice to have one of them at home here, but Graham Ashcraft, Paxton, Cueto, none of those guys are in great spots, so or you'd want to pitch them anyways. So it's kind of where I'm living. I've obviously said not to pitch Giolito. Are you pitching Giolito here against Cincinnati?
I mean, Cincinnati's been really slumping, and they have a 28% strikeout rate against right-handers since the break. So if you feel like this is an upside spot, like, are you happy with Giolito with the San Francisco start? If you roster him,
Yeah.
you're
If he
fine,
gets a
right?
win,
It's
if he gets a
fine.
win, he gets a quality start, 7 strikeouts, you're probably happy, right?
Yeah, I think that and like maybe like the Minnesota outing, like in terms of fantasy upside, feels reasonable here. At home, Cincinnati's 22nd in OPS. They have a 28% strikeout rate. I'm okay with getting
Okay.
Giolito here.
Okay. Again, on a small slate like this, you're probably right. He's probably worth a better look than I've given him credit for. He hasn't been great, but like you said, if he throws
No.
out a 6-3-7 start with a win, he's 20 fantasy points. So even
Yep.
6-3-7 without that win was still 17.
Right.
So probably good
Right.
enough on this slate. All right, moving on over to then the hitters here. Looking at top options to spend up for. We don't like a lot of the pitching, so we got to like some of the hitting here. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, right off the rip, Corey Seager, 6,600 in the infield against Caccione. Seager continues to be amazing. Same with Altuve. Altuve is maybe the hottest hitter in baseball right now. 487 average over his last 10 games. Um, just got his 2000th hit.
Yep.
Starting to steal a little bit again. You can obviously go to the Braves. Mostly looking towards like Austin Riley here, 6,100. He gets the lefty matchup in Peterson, and only his teammate has hit more home runs than him since the break.
Yeah.
Um, so those would be my top
Sure.
three options.
I throw Bobby Witt in that mix.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to.
4.9,
You're right.
11.95, 3 stolen bases, 4 homers the last 10 for him. KC in general, just again one of the hotter teams offensively. Goldschmidt did homer Sunday, had a 3 knocks there. He's starting to heat back up here. Gets a lefty and Bailey Falter, which I know this year the struggles for Goldschmidt against lefties are just kind of like they don't really make sense
Weird.
for a guy that's hammered lefties all year long. So like you have Falter on the mound for Pittsburgh, and you're going to have an Arenado, a Wilson Contreras, a Tommy Edman, a Tyler O'Neill. On a slate like this, St. Louis might be a favorite stack, right, against Bailey Falter here.
Yeah, 10. I mean, that game has a 10.5 implied total too. I think it's going to be a pretty popular play. Third base is really hard to pinpoint because Riley's 61. Devers is hot, like pistol hot. Like I know he destroys the Yankees. That's just like what he does. But 3 straight 3-hit games, and then prior to that, he homered in the Washington game. Like Rafi Devers now with home runs in 3 of 4, back up to 85 ribbies.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Arenado. You have Bregman at 5,500, another guy who's been like super good of late, 16 plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. So like there is a lot of elite talent at third base on the slate.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, listen, Devers was in Yankee Stadium this weekend, so we were continues just to own them. He has like a ridiculous batting average and OPS there in Yankee Stadium. But you're not wrong. I mean, I think the Red Sox could be an interesting spot against Javier, who's struggled a lot. So for some, there's some good value, I think, at this position as well. Anybody in particular that you're looking to target?
I mean, it's not value, but I'm moving down the list. You mentioned Edman already, 4,300.
Yeah.
Cabrian Hayes also 4,300 in that same game with the Cardinals starting Rom, who had a 5.4 ERA at AAA this year. Jeremy Pena, we know his offensive output like basically only comes against lefties at this point.
Right.
So if you wanted to get to him against James Paxton, I think that's fine. You know who we never play? I know Orlando Arcia has been really bad until Sunday, John, but he's crushed lefties this year. So if Arcia's in the lineup, again, coming off his home run, Wilson Contreras, you mentioned, I think it's a Jake Berger night or what?
Could be. Power, right, against a lefty. Could definitely be a Berger night here. So I don't mind that. Trying to think here. Did you mention Novelli Marte?
No, I have not. I have not gotten down
I was
that
going to
far.
say, going down to value here, guy was one of the top prospects in all of baseball.
Yep.
And Cincinnati just continues to show how loaded their system is here. If you're not in on
When you suck every year, you know.
if you're not in on Giolito, like these guys
Sure.
can do damage at times. So you have him, you have Wynn at $2,500. So a lot of value at short, which is unfortunate because we like the top price guys as well. But definitely a lot of value here. Andrews on fire, Reyes on fire. So many second short there with Reyes and Andrews.
Well, saying to Garrett Cole talk about how tough an at-bat Pablo Reyes was the other day
Was it upsetting to you?
It was so upsetting to me, yes.
He should be more upset with himself for giving up that opposite field home run to Connor Wong.
And the grand slam
to Luis
to
Urias.
Luis
Luis Urias,
which he talked
homering on grand slams on consecutive pitches.
it's
The only time that's ever happened. So
he and Cole talked about it. He's like, 9 out of 10 times I get that baseball back. He's literally like, people don't hit that pitch.
Yeah.
And it was cool to listen to. Sad to obviously see, but yeah. I mean, if Urias is in the lineup, you know, Red Sox are going to be a pretty good play on this.
I still can't believe Pablo Reyes is doing what he did. At one point this year, Alex Cora said, literally in an interview, Pablo is not an everyday player for us.
Really?
Yes. This is
verbatim.
Earlier this year, they were talking about like the infield and like playing Christian Arroyo and Kike Hernandez and whatever. And someone mentioned Pablo Reyes during like the interview, and he's like, Pablo is not an everyday player for us.
Boy, oh boy.
And now basically it almost feels like Billy Beane in Moneyball, where he's like, play Hattie, and he's like, I'm not playing Hattie, I'm playing Pena. He's like, well, you can't play Pena because I traded him. He did that with Kike Hernandez. He traded him. He DFA'd Arroyo, right? He just got rid of all of the guys that Alex Cora wanted to play. Yu Chang is back in AAA, right? Like he just got rid of everybody, and he's like, now you have to play Reyes, right? Like, and Reyes is out here winning games. So
hitting 331.
Yeah. So just craziness. So that's the infield here. Anybody else want to discuss?
No.
Moving over to the fun position. Outfield. Both of our Angels here, our Astros rather, up over 6K. We have Jordan and Tucker. We'll see if Tucker finds his way back into a lineup. Has been dealing with an illness. But both those guys are up over 6K against Paxton. Both hit lefties really well. You have Ohtani. You have Acuna versus a lefty. J-Rod's been one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball. So hard to go wrong with the majority of this top tier.
Tucker did pinch it on Sunday.
Love it.
So looks like he should be back in the lineup on Monday. It is weird to see in a 10-game span someone have 52 at-bats, but that's where we are with Julio Rodriguez. He has 52 at-bats over his last 10 games. And like broke the MLB record for most hits in a 4-game stretch.
17?
That was 17 hits. Yeah. Now obviously Sunday he started off 1-for-1 double RB run scored, and it hurt your feelings for the next 4 at bats. And hurt my feelings because
bases loaded, 1 out, pop out to the catcher. Literally could have done almost anything else. And then he struck out later on, like almost a similar situation, like second and third. Just like couldn't help me out. Had the 9 fantasy score on Prize Picks. He finished with 7 after getting 7 in the first AB. So,
well, he is on a different level, regardless.
He is. Even I would go right back to the well for sure.
Right back to the well.
Tucson, right? Like,
yeah. Obviously, you could play Ohtani. Yeah. That's fine. Obviously, you could play Acuna. That's also fine.
Do you test Soler versus Snell?
I would, if I'm playing Marlins. Probably playing like
at this point, so
it's probably one-offs because, dude, like I know Miami has some like good. Dude, Blake Snell's allowed 4 home runs over his last 10 starts, 14 through 25. Like it's like what's the most home runs he's allowed in a start this year? 2, twice. He's only allowed more than 1 home run twice. Like he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs, John, since May 19th.
Sure. But he's been
He has
lucky.
only
It's because he strikes out a lot of guys, but he had a 7 walk game where he didn't give up any runs. So
no, I know, but like no, of course, but like that goes to show you, like he doesn't care
Sure.
about he's walking 4 people every start.
Sure.
Like I would be okay with playing Soler,
Okay.
but like I'm probably not going to stack
Sure.
the Marlins. It's probably just a one-off.
You have Friedel against Giolito at 49. Yoshida.
It's kind of expensive, no?
Yeah,
That
well,
feels
it's
like a
Giolito, man.
little.
I think they're kind of getting bumped. Poor play. They priced him up,
Yeah.
and they priced the Reds up too. So, like, go figure.
Yeah.
I mean, Yoshida really just had the one good game
Yep.
the other day.
Yep.
Let's see here. Ozuna versus Peterson's probably pretty good.
McCormick at the same price too.
Yeah.
On the flip side, if you're attacking Paxton.
Yep. Verdugo's 42, been leading off for them, looking pretty good. Teoscar until again today was hitting everything the last couple of days.
Yep.
4K for him. Fam gets
the Mariners are interesting, right? Like we didn't mention Eugenio, but he homered on. Ty France has been pretty good lately.
Been pretty decent power wise.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so Mariners look out. A lot of good options there.
I'm with you. Under 4K. Tyler O'Neill's 37. Just keep running him.
Yep. Lefties, as long as there's a lefty on the mound, play him.
Cade Martelo, another guy we keep kind of running out there at 3,500, really, really cheap. Melendez actually led off with Michael Garcia out, so something to watch there with Melendez at 34. You have the Rangers guys here. Leotis is 34. Will Benson's 33. So some really good value in this range here.
Yeah, really the only person I'd add, because I guess persons that I'd add, because I like all those guys as well. Jordan Walker, 32, and Connor Joe, 32. Both guys. Connor Joe slowed down, obviously, but he's hit lefties well all year. They were getting perfected against Dallas freaking Keuchel through 6 innings, dude. Like, what in the world? What world are we living in? The Dallas Keuchel had a perfect game through 6 innings, let alone one inning. But Jordan Walker, 32, had a really good game Sunday, starting to come around a little bit. Strikeouts are still pretty high, but he's looked a little better of lately too.
I mean, guys expected to be a monster, right? So once it clicks, I mean, we saw what happened when it clicked for Casas, right? These guys, something all of a sudden like, oh, I figured out, the speed of a Major League Baseball, and here we go, like game's over. So I'm with you there. Anybody, would you play Canzoni here? I mean, like, he was 4 hits to 4 hits.
Dude, the Mariners just have like random. Everyone's just like getting in on the action, huh? 4 hits here, 4 hits there.
Isabel's been pretty good.
I'm just like looking at like if there's anything Oakland that I'd want to play, because like I mentioned the Alec Marsh thing. Like Rooker's been okay. Astori's been trash.
Yeah.
Seth Brown is here. He's been trash. I don't
kind of building more towards why you want to play Marsh, you think?
Yeah, I'm like kind of confused.
Avoid Geloff, right?
Just like, Geloff? Dude, it actually is just like you look at these numbers and you're like, Langlares isn't doing anything, and Soderstrom isn't doing anything, and it's actually Aledmus Diaz, who weirdly enough is hitting 385 over his last 10 games.
He was good 5 years ago.
If you want to play Aledmus Diaz, he's a third base shortstop eligible 3K infielder. He double donged on Saturday.
Who do they have?
He also has 3 multi-hit games in his last.
They had Carlos Perez was playing the other day.
Do you know that his brother plays for the White Sox, and his brother's name is also Carlos Perez? I
didn't know that there was 2 Carlos Perez's. I was unsure that they were related.
They are. I only knew that because I was listening to an a White Sox broadcast.
This isn't another Bojan and Bogdan Bogdanovic thing, is it?
No, they are legitimately related.
Okay. So, anyways, that's the outfield. Top and value plays. Let's build a line. You want to double spend, or do you want to go Castillo, Montgomery?
We're playing Winans, right? I mean, probably the
Monty or Castillo.
Castillo.
Yeah, I mean, that offense feels like they're running, right? So,
yeah.
All right, 4K. Did we want to spend down at short or up at short? Because that's where the value lives.
Let's spend down. Spend down because we're spending up. We're spending up at third.
Okay, Win or Marte?
What do you think? I mean,
Pablo Reyes is 31. How we don't have to spend all the way down if you don't want to.
Yeah, I like Boston here.
Okay.
Boston. I mean, Javier's been bad, dude.
So you want to run Devers then?
I mean, I didn't say that. There's like, I'm not saying no to Devers. I'm also just saying third base is like you could any of those top 3 guys are four really are plug and play.
I kind of like Riley. I like Riley.
So yeah, see.
All right, catcher. Let's get a catcher in here.
Wilson Contreras 4K.
Yeah, that works.
Unless you want to do Endy Rodriguez, who's a switch hitter. He gets the Rom dude. Logan O'Hop is 2,700.
I do like Hoppy, that's for sure. But I like the catcher there.
Okay.
First base. Let's see. Was there a value that we ran on? Not really.
I would say, yeah.
Goldie?
Yeah, if we're spending up, Goldie's.
I mean, we're kind of hamstringing ourselves.
Would you play Nolan Schnell or Schnen? How do you pronounce his last name?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Against Graham, I'm fine with that.
I'm just throwing it up there.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Let's see. Can we do an Ohtani? 32.
Let's
go Reyes back at
base.
second, actually.
And then we could play Marte or...
Yeah, we'll do Win first, and we'll 36 for 2 outfielders.
Tyler O'Neill, 37.
Yeah.
And then we could do Benson, Melendez. Anyone?
Yeah, I was just seeing if there was any sort of like correlation to. Yeah, let's go Benson. We got Benson play in there. There's nothing. Oh, let's do Walker. Let's do Jordan Walker.
Yeah, we could do full 4-pack.
We got a 4 St. Louis. We got an Ohtani, Chanel. We'll run with that one. We got a 1-off Austin Riley. Pablo Reyes 1-off there with Castillo and Winans as our starting pitching. First look at today's 8-game main slate. James and I will be back at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Give you all the updates, break it down. James in the playbook. We'll be back later. Good luck. We'll talk to you then.